All right, well, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to talk about love. There's a great Hafiz poem actually that says, the subject tonight is love. And as a matter of fact, for tomorrow night also, and the following night as well, for I can think of nothing better to discuss until the day that we die. So I'm going to follow that principle. This morning Hafiz has another poem, that I'm going to read. It's called The Heart's Coronation. The pawn always sits stunned, chained, unable to move beneath God's magnificent power. It is essential for the heart's coronation for the pawn to realize there is nothing but divine movement in this world. It really talks about our condition, it talks about my condition anyway, in this world, that as long as we don't have that understanding of the nature of ourselves and the understanding of the nature of the world and that relationship with the beloved, that the world can be quite abusive, or seemingly so. That we can get beat up, things don't make sense, we can't work it all out. And we spend a lot of our life really struggling under the weight of that. And quite often in the scriptures we see the God depicted as, this all-powerful creature who seems to have jealousy and anger and all of those things. Those are all discussions of the divine reflected in the ego of a human being. That really isn't the nature of God like that. And it's through realization, it's through plumbing the depths of ourselves, of investigating love in a purposeful and meaningful way for us to understand. We are pawns. We have control to a certain extent, There's that big discussion between destiny and free will. And it really doesn't matter whether there's free will or not. We don't know enough for it to matter. And you say, how can I say that? Well, when you're reading a book, you know what's going to happen from beginning to end. You don't know what's going to happen, but it's already written. It's already all there. But you don't just set down the book and lose interest because, it's already predestined. Because to you, you're only a single point somewhere in the text. You're a line. You're a point of perspective, and you've read so far, and so much has happened, but you don't know what's coming. And really, life is more like that. It may in fact be predestined. It may in fact already be mapped out. Who knows? I'm not saying that necessarily, but I'm saying that it's an irrelevant question for our perspective, because either way we don't know the ending. Either way we don't know tomorrow. And so it stays interesting and it stays engaging. Ramakrishna actually says that we have free will to a certain extent. He says you're like a goat tethered to a pole, which means that within that, whatever length your tether is, you have freedom of movement, freedom of choice. But where the pole is established, you can't determine that. I was born in upstate New York to an American family, middle class. So I had a lot of advantages. I've had a very nice life, and I didn't get to choose that. Those were circumstances given to me. The condition of my body, the condition of my mind, those were all circumstances given to me. The color of my skin, the nation that I live in, the parents that I have, the wealth that I had available to me, the opportunities. Those things are part of the predestination, as it were, the deck of cards, or the hand of cards that we've been dealt. And you have to play your deck, and hopefully you play them with love and with compassion and with generosity toward one another. It's very important, though, for peace of mind to really establish that really the nature of the universe is love. Now, it's not love based on what your body needs and love based on what your mind might need. When a volcano blows up and thousands of people die, you're like, oh, well, where's the love in that? Well, even if the volcano doesn't go off, nobody's going to survive. It's just another means of exiting the world. And what is exiting the world? It's just throwing off a cage, throwing off our pawn ship, as it were, our limitations, our restrictions, and being free, learning to be free. And so it's imperative for the coronation of the heart. It's imperative that the heart become king. Why do I say that? Because yesterday we read, or the day before maybe, Sri Nisargadatta when he makes that statement, someone asks him, then what is the role of love in this world, if it's predestined and whatnot? And he says, he said, the heart or the mind creates the abyss, the heart bridges it. And really, that's the reality of what it is. We've talked about the mind several times already, and we know its two functions, to basically discern or to find the differences in things, to differentiate, and then to categorize. And so it creates that separation. The mind is responsible for racism and for sexism and for the social phobias of all kinds, for the unkindness of things. And so when the mind is making those separations, it's up to us to develop the heart, to bridge them, to do the work, to realize that all of these things of body and mind are very superficial, that they are not the real, that the real lies deeper within, couched in love, couched in compassion. So today, make your heart king. Swami Vivekananda also says, if there's ever a disagreement between the heart and the head, he says the safe thing to do is go with the heart. So in these trying times, these interesting times, bizarre times for sure, give way to the heart. Open the heart. Don't let the mind create its fear, create its separation, and make the worst of isolation. No, coronate the heart. Make the heart your king. It is essential in this time. So let's do that today. Let's make that our goal. Let's make that our highest effort and ideal. May we all be blessed in that, in whatever form we take that blessing.